This is Delhi. Please stand by for our next program. This is All India Radio. In our national program of talks tonight, the topic of discussion is Diabetes, the Silent Stalker. The participants are Dr. Eashan Srivastava of Central Government Health Services, Ms.Apurva Saxena, leading Hatha, Yoga and Wellness expert, Ms. Shivani Pawar, well-known nutritionist, and Raji Nair, media personality who initiates and moderates the discussion.
In India, 77 million adults are living with diabetes. Researchers predict that by 2045, this will increase to 134 million. It is becoming a huge burden on the families and the government exchequer. Even though there has been much study and research, there is a woeful lack of awareness about the disease among the common folks and the potential danger it can pose to other vital organs of the body. But it is important to know that life is certainly not over if you have been diagnosed with diabetes. There are ways to control and manage it, and it's up to each individual to make the most of what they have and be grateful for. As they say, diabetes is like a roller coaster. It has its ups and downs, and it is your choice to either scream or enjoy the ride. On my panel, we have Dr. Eashan Srivastava from the Central Government Health Services, Ms. Shivani Pawar, a well-known nutritionist and dietitian, and Ms.Apurva Saxena, leading yoga and wellness expert. A very warm welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To begin with, Dr. Srivastava, over the years we have read and been told about the various aspects of diabetes, and there is plenty of literature out there for anybody who is interested. So in this program, I would like you to give a different view on the subject. So when you mentioned that there is poor advice out there, what did you mean?
Actually, we need to understand that the quality of advice that we are giving to the patients also matters a lot. So, for instance, if I am a diabetic and I go to some doctor and I ask him, okay, doc, what kind of a lifestyle should I have? So, the doctor can only tell me the type of lifestyle I should have, provided I am a diabetic, from the point of view that I am a diabetic. But majority of the Indian population is not yet a diabetic. So, instead of focusing on instead of waiting that somebody have diabetes and then he starts having these lifestyle changes, I think it is better to focus on a more preventive aspect. You are incorporating those changes. Yeah. Even before developing diabetes.
So at what age would you say is the optimum age to get into a good lifestyle?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is it a myth that people who have indulged in too much sweets their whole life are the ones who fall prey to diabetes?
Not necessarily. I mean, I have seen people who are eating a lot of sweet things and they never have any issues. And somebody who has been, taking precautions and everything, and despite all these things, they still go on to develop diabetes. So I think there is a lot of role of genetics per se. But after taking that into account, there is no reason why you should start taking more sweets just because you are healthy otherwise. I think you need to take a more holistic approach on this.
Absolutely. Diabetes is not cured but managed. Shivani, as a nutritionist and dietitian, how does diet and nutrition help in the management?
Diabetes is something that can actually be cured with good lifestyle and good dietary habits.
Are you categorically saying it can be cured or can be reversed?
It can be cured and can be reversed as well. Basically, there's a patient which I have been managing, and it's been more than 1.5 years since I'm helping him to achieve his weight targets along with the diabetes. And he had diabetes from 20 years. And right now he is free from diabetes, although it took him 1.5 years to reverse it. But now he is perfectly fine with zero medication. Now he is on zero medication and perfectly healthy. So it's all because of the good lifestyle cultivated in, and also his motivation that he wants to change it. So that is what is important. Sometimes people know what to do, what not to do, but they lack self-motivation. So that is where they need to motivate themselves. So which is one of the most important things.
Apurva, an active life with the right amount of exercise is considered good. Does yoga score over other forms of exercise, and if so, how?
Well, first of all, I want to say yoga is not a workout. Yoga is a way of life, it's a science, and it is a very, very vast subject. Yoga is not at all postures. The whole world thinks that yoga is asana or standing on head. It is not standing on head. It is about healing, it is about transforming yourself as an individual, and it is about realization. When you are into yoga, you are on the right path in itself. So you will not make mistakes in choosing a lifestyle. Like, you know what is right for you to eat, what is the right time to sleep. Yoga starts with discipline. So there are different rules. There's yama, niyama, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So yoga is a very big concept. And asan is just one of the 8 limbs. So it's unfair to call yoga as an exercise. So yoga will heal you not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And then it, creates a stress-free lifestyle for you. And you will never go wrong in your eating habits, sleeping habits, and you'll come in a discipline. You'll live your life in a disciplined way. Yoga can manage diabetes, but I will never use the word cure with yoga. It's 60 to 70% nutrition and 30 to 40% yoga. Right? Yoga in terms of asana and pranayam. Meditation especially, because meditation works on your endocrine system. And when it works on your endocrine system, the hormone production automatically starts regularization. So once the hormone starts to regulate, definitely the pancreas will start working efficiently. But I would not say that it will, happen quickly. It's a long-term process. I've seen people changing their lives with yoga, but it takes at least 1 to 2 years. But it's more of a preventive than like people who take guarantees on media that we can cure diabetes with yoga, we can do this and that. It's not right. It's not true.
It'll just point you put you on the right path.
It's preventive, as Dr. Eashan said, that people should be aware and that it is more preventive and they should start following it from a very young age, because I've seen 13-year-old, 14-year-old struggling with diabetes and PCOD. And if you ask their parents, their kids are eating pastries and chocolates all the time and junk food. Obviously, their body won't be able to utilize insulin in the right amount that way.
Right.
So, I think it's more of preventive, and yoga cannot cure it. Definitely, it cannot cure.
And you are a Hatha yoga expert. Can you explain what that is, and is it more beneficial than other forms of yoga?
Hatha yoga is a yoga of swaras or energy. So we all have swaras and energies running in through our body. They're like, which is called nadis in Sanskrit. And we work on the nadis. Majorly we work on 2 nadis, that is Surya and Chandra nadi. The sun is the right nostril and Chandra the left nostril. When we are breathing, we are making good use of nadis. So specifically a pranayam called Surya Bhedi pranayam and Chandra Bhedi pranayam and Nadi Shodhan, that is Anulom Vilom. It works on energies, it works on swaras. So Hatha Yoga is a culmination of postures, breathing, bandhas, dhyan, which works in enhancing the energy of these nadis. So when our breath is controlled and balanced through all these mediums, we reach a level of balance. When the balance is attained, we reach Sushumna Nadi activation, and that's where the energy starts moving to higher levels. And when that starts happening, your body automatically starts opening up and curing and healing. So when your energy rises up, your organs, they get the positive energy and they start to function better. And we have seen certain cases, but not all, very few cases where energy has helped them a lot, but we never ask them to stop medication. We tell them, please continue with your medicines. This will be an add-on, like a more holistic approach to keep you stress-free and positive.
Right. Doc, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, actually, I just want to point out that diabetes is of many types, and some types can be cured or reversed. But some of them, like type 1 diabetes, that can be, you can reduce the amount of insulin you are taking, but you cannot completely cure it.
So maybe now you could tell us the different kinds of diabetes, Doc.
So broadly, there are only, if you look at the official classification, there are 4 types, type 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4 we'll not talk about because they're relatively rare. And so majorly it's of 2 types, type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is basically when your body is not secreting insulin in the first place, right? So you need to replace that insulin from outside. Whereas type 2 is when your insulin, it is getting secreted, for some reason it is not able to act, and that is known as insulin resistance. So type 2, that can be managed using oral drugs, and if it is a very severe case, then we have to give insulin as well.
So Doc, would you say we can lose weight while eating our favorite cookies and chocolates? Is there a magic way we can do that?
Well, actually, yes. I mean, I would like to point out that several experiments have been done which point to the fact that it is the diet and the amount of calories that you are taking that matters. For a very long time, I was under the impression that, carbohydrates are bad. And then after some time, you get that news, fat is the one which is the culprit. So we get a lot of sometimes contradictory advice, right? So what I have done is that I have gone through the literature and I found that it is actually the amount of calories, the total number of calories that matter. It really doesn't matter whether those calories are coming from the carbohydrate aspect or from the fat. It really doesn't matter because we have examples of many types. If you search this keyword, Twinkie Diet Professor, you will get the result. There was this professor of nutrition in Kansas University called Mark Hobbs. And what he did was that he reduced his caloric intake for 6 weeks by 25%. The entire calorie, he was taking it in the form of biscuits and Fruit Loops and all sorts of junk food, right? And what happened after 6 weeks? His LDL cholesterol went down, his HDL increased, his weight got reduced by 5 pounds. And so what he wanted to prove was that you can reduce the amount of calories and still lose weight as long as those number of calories are restricted. It doesn't really matter whether you're, taking any junk food in terms of those calories.
No, but junk food is full of calories, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
To know which junk food has lesser calories and which you shouldn't take becomes a problem, right? For most people.
I think moderation is the key.
Moderation is the key, absolutely. And now since we're talking about diet here, we know a good diet helps in preventing and managing diabetes. What is your definition of a good diet? Some examples of good foods? And do you think, in your opinion, do we cure or reverse diabetes as a nutritionist? Tell us.
So the good diet includes good amount of carbohydrate, good amount of fats, and including lots of protein and vitamins and minerals. Sometimes people focus only on calories, as doctor said, like of course, calories something you can get from any food, right? But of course, nutrition is something which you cannot get with calories. For example, if you're having a burger, which is lots of calories and of course loaded with fats, mainly fats and simple carbohydrates, right? Which ultimately increases your sugar levels and of course your weight, and ultimately you're getting the calorie part, but the nutrition it lacks. So sometimes balancing nutrition along with calorie is what good food or good diet is. For example, if you are having a pizza slice or even burger, but if you are having other food item in the maintenance of to get the good amount of nutrition out of the other food, that is what the good diet is. For example, like most of the people think that roti sabzi is something which you can have, right? But particularly that roti sabzi is not the good amount of food. You need to include proper protein along with that. You need to include fibers. You need to include, not along with that, you can have fruits in the same duration of day. For example, a good diet consists of good or balanced breakfast. I'm giving you some example of some breakfast. For example, paneer sandwich, vegetable stuffed roti, or besan chila, or sprouts, or egg whites, right? This can be a good amount of good protein source of your breakfast. Then comes your lunch, but before lunch, a fruit should be there. That should be after 1 or 2 hours before your lunch, right? And then come your lunchtime. Then in lunchtime, roti, sabzi, and protein, dal, and a good amount of salad should be there. That is a wholesome meal. Sometimes people only focus on rice or dal. Sometimes people only eat roti sabzi and there no salad, no curd, no pearls, right? So even if there is no pearls, you can include curd instead, right? So this way you can get protein along with the fibers and carbohydrates. Then comes, everybody has their evening tea meal time, right? So in that case, instead of having direct just simple tea or empty tea with namkeen or biscuits, you can have it with makhanas. You can have it with bhuna chana. You can also have it with boiled sprout chaat. So this way you can have again a wholesome meal, so you won't feel hungry in the night time. That is what is the bad habit nowadays we have. That is to have heavy dinners. That is the main reason why people are increasing their sugar level. Even if you have diabetes, that is the most important thing that you need to control, having heavy dinners.
So light dinner is advised.
Yes, right. And not just light dinners, what should be there, I will guide you. So in your dinner time, of course, timing should be important, right? So in your dinner time, you can include roti sabzi, but not every day. I have seen this in my personal experience, like people include roti sabzi in the breakfast, roti sabzi in the lunch, and roti sabzi in the dinner. And that is not the healthiest way.
But that's been traditional.
Yes, but sometimes roti can also increase sugar levels. So it is not about just roti sabzi. Of course, it is healthy, but as per the your diabetic level, you can include some other options. For examples, you can include just sabzi. You can have sautéed vegetable. You can have oats. You can also have paneer tikka. You can also have soya chop, or you can include some soups or sandwiches. So just having roti sabzi, there are so many other options that one can include. But as per the avoid part, avoid having roti sabzi every single day in the night time. And then after that, if they feel hungry or something, they can have 1 cup of milk, or sometimes people take green tea, right? So green tea has nothing to do with weight loss. That is the main myth that nowadays people are having, but it just helps in your good sleep and also improves digestion. That is what it helps in. So this is the good diet.
Doc, can you tell us what symptoms should alert a person to the possibility of being diabetic?
Diabetes is a condition when the blood sugar increases. And since every organ requires blood, so literally every organ can be affected. So diabetes can manifest initially because of the increased blood sugar itself, which causes increased thirst, increased urination, increased appetite, and unexplained weight loss. But you can also have a diabetic presenting for the first time with the complication itself. So I have seen patients who are directly coming to us with a diabetic nephropathy, a diabetic neuropathy, a retinopathy, or some complication of diabetes. So literally any organ can be affected.
So these are the symptoms one should look out for, even if before actually getting a blood test.
I think everybody in India who is having a family history of diabetes and whose BMI is on the higher side, I think they should get a screening test on an annual basis.
Can you mention some of the related complications that can happen for uncontrolled blood sugar levels?
So as I mentioned, it can affect literally any organ.
Yeah.
So
you can have
you can have a stroke. They become very common. Then you can have increased incidence of cataract, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathies. Then you can have cardiovascular disorders, heart failure, heart attacks. Then you can have diabetic nephropathy, that is the kidneys get involved. Then any part of the nervous system can be involved, neuropathies and such. Then the liver itself gets involved. You have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You can have any organ
many
involvement.
related disorders. Apurva, tell us about your work with children with diabetes.
Yes, there have been 1 or 2 cases that I've handled where I noticed something very different. Those girls had PCOD along with the beginning of diabetes.
Can you explain what PCOD is?
PCOD is polycystic ovarian disorder or polycystic ovarian syndrome, where there is a disbalance between the hormone production in the ovaries, and male hormone production increases, then the estrogen and progesterone, there's a disbalance in there, and testosterone level increases in the girls, which leads to weight gain, and it also affects the overall endocrine system. So yes, in later stages it can lead diabetes also if not taken care. So it's majorly because of the bad eating habits in teenagers these days, where they are more ordering food from outside and they don't feel like doing exercise. And if you talk about making them do yoga, they will say it's very boring, we don't want to. So be it any form of exercise, be it Zumba, dance, any activity, they should indulge themselves in it. It's also because the parents have become so busy in their smartphones and in their hectic life that they don't take care or maintain the routine of their diet chart. Ask them to do yoga or fitness online, they will get bored and they'll switch it off and they want to play games. Or I think food and lack of activity is a major reason for diabetes in kids. These days the cases are rising because they are just sitting on their couches and watching TV.
There's plenty for them to do sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Doctor, what factors can influence the onset of the disease? And if genetically and socially you are at an increased risk, can you prevent diabetes?
Just to clarify, we are talking about type 2 diabetes.
Right.
So type 1 is basically out of our hands.
Yeah.
So type 2 diabetes, again, it has a strong genetic component. So if you are having your parents who are diabetics, you are more likely to develop diabetes.
What percentage would you say?
I am not aware of the exact percentages.
Okay.
So, but it's very likely.
Okay.
First is the genes. The genes, just to quote one of the authors that I read, genes, they load the gun, but it is the environment that pulls the trigger. So you can have a loaded gun, but as long as you don't pull the trigger, you won't have the disease. Even normal people who are having parents who are diabetics, they might not develop diabetes as long as they are following a healthy lifestyle, which includes diet and exercise and everything. First is the genetic component. Second is the environmental component. So again, as I said, the diet and the exercise, these are the two important things. And apart from that, the socio-cultural environment also affects how a person behaves. So for instance, I have seen that during the festive seasons, Diwali and such, Indians have a habit of exchanging dry fruits or sweets or something like that. I think it would be much better that if we exchange some other thing. You can give anything. Yeah, sure,
Plants,
definitely
right.
plants. You can give some other thing, and as long as there is a sweet lying inside the house, you are much more likely to go out and eat it. I think that needs to be changed.
That needs to be changed. And you're talking about environment, how it can influence. Now, what about corporates designing their offices in such a way that you are taking away the unhealthy option and leaving people with healthy options?
There are examples of some companies, who care enough about their employees, to promote them to a healthy lifestyle, to point them towards a more healthy lifestyle. So, for instance, there is this apparel company in Sweden. And so what they have done is that there is a mandatory 1-hour workout session every Friday. And everybody has to participate, right from the CEO down to the lowest level. What they started doing was that they reduced the size of their platters. So instead of having huge plates, they just reduced the size of the plates. And not only that, they, instead of, in US, there's this culture of, just going to a machine and just putting a few coins in and you'll get a soda or something like that. They just remove those machines and replace that with mineral water.
Fabulous.
Can I add on to it?
Yes.
I work with corporates for the last 6 years. I've been taking corporate yoga sessions with retail chains and some finance companies as well. So I design program for corporate wellness. So there is a recent international retail chain that I work with. They have compulsory half-an-hour corporate yoga with me online. And some of them are working with me for last 4 years. And we've got a dedicated, members who are doing yoga with me. And they've seen a considerable change and reduction in the stress. So yes, now some corporates are working for their employees. And despite of the lockdown, both the years I was very busy, especially on yoga day, that all their employees were dedicatedly participating yoga with me.
That's a great way forward.
Yeah,
if all the
now
corporates
they are.
government offices all start this compulsory yoga sessions, or as
Workout
workout session, and making sure the cafeteria is far away, or
just let go of all the snacks and replace them with fruits and such.
healthy options. Absolutely. Shivani, today frequent and small meals are advised for diabetes. What is your opinion? And also tell us, what is the glycemic index all about, and why should we choose such foods with low glycemic index?
Slow and frequent meals are very important when it comes to managing your diabetes and also regulating your sugar levels. What happens when you are having small and frequent meals is basically that the sugar that that your food is actually releasing in your body, the amount of that is very small. Right? In that way, your sugar cannot be hiked up. That is what the glycemic index is. That is the amount of sugar level that the particular food is releasing into your body. Right? So there are 3 kind of a glycemic index, that is low glycemic index, medium glycemic index and high glycemic index. Then one should avoid high glycemic index, such as examples are like rice, potato, pasta, pizzas, burger, junk food, of course.
All the nice things.
Cakes and bakeries product. So these are high glycemic index. So even if you're having them in a small amount and then repeating the same pattern after some time, it will definitely increase your blood sugar levels. But if you're having fruit, let's say, repeating it after 2 or 1 hour, then it will not hike up your sugar level because of the glycemic index. So that is why glycemic index is very important when it comes to managing your sugar levels. I'm giving an example, like let's say that the person has had their meal at around 9 a.m. in the morning, and the second meal that they're going to have is around 1 or 2 p.m. in the morning. So in duration of that period of time, the body needs sugar. So in that case, body regulates sugar by itself, and the amount of sugar that the body releases will hike up, and ultimately the sugar will increase. So that is one of the reasons that people with diabetes should not give gaps such as 4 to 5 hours in duration of these meals to regulate their sugar levels. That is why the frequent and small meal pattern is helpful. And glycemic index same. So there are again some good example of low glycemic index and medium glycemic index, such as whole wheat, whole bread, and even vegetables, fruits, but avoiding bananas and strawberries and of course custard apples and all. But beside that, they can take it. As long as their sugar levels is under 200 mg per deciliter, they can have fruit. If their sugar level is more than 200 mg per deciliter, then they should avoid fruits as well. And of course, fruit juices and shakes are a big no-no. Sometimes people think that instead of taking fruit, let's just have a fruit juice. But this can cause more harm than to give benefit to the body. So that is what is important when it comes to regulating sugar levels.
Right. What is your opinion on these fad diets that people go on or off? all
Well,
the
I
time?
personally found them very funny because people are very hyped up about them. Of course, they help to reduce their body weight, right? But in a not a very long-term way, such as people are so hyped up about keto and intermittent fasting and so many other. They are good as long as you keep on following them for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, they start causing more harm than benefit. So anything which you are doing, let's say any irregulation of or any changes in your diet, if it is not balanced, you can keep it following for 3 weeks. But after that 3 week, you have to keep on to a track to having a balanced diet.
To get back to a normal diet.
Balanced diet consists of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and vitamins and minerals. If your food is in lack of any of the nutrition, which means that your diet is not balanced. If your diet is telling you that to avoid carbohydrate, it is not good. Avoid fat, it is not good. Avoid protein, not good.
So 3 weeks you follow this diet, and then 3 weeks you get back to your normal diet.
Yes.
And then pick it up again.
Of course, you can have it in, like I have met a lot of people who are following keto diet plans or let's say any fat diet plan for more than 6 months. That is not the right way. Right? You can pick up the same pattern after some time, but not in a regulation of 6 months or an year. Right? That is the wrong way.
Right. Doc, have you noticed any patients who have come to you, diabetic patients, with problems because of these fad diets?
Actually, what I usually tend to do is that I emphasize that sustainability is key. So if you want to follow a paleo diet, that is fine, as long as you can do it for lifelong. If you are willing to make that effort, if you go into the details of any diet, whether it's a keto, paleo and Atkins and whatnot, they basically reduce the total number of calories. So what happens is that the patients, they start losing weight because, the calories, they go down. So I try to emphasize, I try to ask them, whether you can keep doing it for the rest of your life, to do it every day, not just for 3 weeks, like she said. And they have to keep doing it. If they can say yes, then fine.
I would like to add something, like it's a very good way to basically show the mirror to the person that if you can follow this to the lifelong, then only you will be able to do it. That is something which people will not do. Right? And that is how they can break their mentality that of course I cannot do it for lifelong and I should not do it. And the other part which is important to regulating calories. Of course, calories are something which as people are so bound to follow, like they calculate their calories. What I believe is, I believe in nutrition. I believe in the power of food, and the power of food you can get from your roti sabzi or wholesome meal. You cannot get it from your pizza, pasta, burger.
That is true, but as long as if only we are looking at the calories, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, in that case, it doesn't matter. But of course, calorie cannot consist of the nutrition. Of course, nutrition comes with the right food.
Right foods, that's important. They say diabetes can be cured, and it is the medical fraternity and the pharmaceutical industries with vested interest that are preventing the discovery of a cure. How true or false is that statement, doctor?
As long as we are just talking about type 2 diabetes, I think that there is a role of, the beverage industry and the food industry more rather than the pharma. So if you look at, there are books out there and you can look at the evidence. So how do you think these foods, they get designed? So there are different flavors, ice cream and chocolates. It was just not random accident, right? Somebody in those companies, they are designing these things, they are testing it on people, they are seeing what is the most addictive combination of the constituents, and they are building the most addictive things. So basically, if you want to blame somebody, I think it's better to blame the food industry.
No, but in your opinion, will there be a cure for diabetes?
There already is a cure for diabetes: better lifestyle, simple things. There is a difference between ease and simplicity. So it is very simple to cure diabetes, but it is not easy.
That's a good point to remember. And in your opinion, what is a perfect workout from a doctor's point of view for a diabetic patient?
There is no specific workout for a diabetic patient per se, although the American Diabetic Association recommends 30 minutes of moderate blah blah blah. That is not relevant to most of us. How many of us are actually going to go out and work out for 1 hour a day and maintain at that intensity? Hardly anybody is going to do that. As a little side story, I used to weigh around 100 kilograms 3 years ago. I basically taught myself, how to lose weight. Because even though I'm a doctor, there is no course in medicine which is taught to us which talks about a healthy lifestyle or how to lose weight. They can just teach us the symptoms, signs and treatment, but they don't tell us how to lose weight or, lead a healthy lifestyle.
Thank you so much, all of you. I do believe this was a very fruitful and a healthy discussion. And I do hope our listeners take away some great pointers from this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In our national program of talks tonight, you were listening to the panel discussion entitled Diabetes, the Silent Stalker. The participants included Dr. Eashan Srivastava of Central Government Health Services, Ms.Apurva Saxena, leading Hatha Yoga and Wellness expert, Ms. Shivani Pawar, well-known nutritionist, and Raji Nair, media personality who initiated and moderated the discussion. Produced and presented by Naveen K. Gupta, this program came to you from the Delhi station of All India Radio.